Welcome to the Alenki Yacht Podcast, a podcast about life, leadership, and money matters. Our guest today is Sravan Ankaraju. Sravan has been working for over 25 years in the field of data science and innovation. He worked for Microsoft for 13 years as a strategy and innovation leader, and in 2016 he founded Divergence Academy, where he focuses on technology education. Today, we will speak about his book, Hackers and Heroes, how everyone can participate in the tech economy. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me on the call.
So I have a fun time finding out about your experience, how you grew up, how you were a failure when you tried to go into university studies as an engineer, and then how you reinvented yourself. So I wonder if we could start by there. Can you tell us about your origins? I got that you were born in India and you grew up there. So take us from there.
So I think it was age of 18 when I learned quickly after my entrance exam in engineering that I did not make it to that engineering program. And it's a national exam or a state exam. I think it was a state exam. And in India, they publish your ranks in a newspaper. And you can see if you made it or not if you are in the rank number 1 to 100,000, and if I'm not on that list, then you did not make it. So I had a number, and I looked through the newspaper and found out I did not make it. And there are other options in India to go to private schools and pay with your own deep pockets and go to schools like that. I said I'm going to try one more time later, the following year, for one more entrance test. But by that time, I had found out that there was an opportunity to go to a vocational tech school, at a school called Apple Tech. It's not the same as the Apple, the company, but Apple Tech. And it was, I believe, an 11-month program. And they taught us how to use uh, IBM's 386 computers and COBOL programming. So I learned COBOL programming at that age. But more than that, it was about, you know, playing with software, spending time in front of a computer, so much that I fell in love with just programming aspect. I just played around until I guess the people who are at the institute got sick of me, because I would sit down and take every minute of the time that was available for me in the lab. Right? And then in 1991, I finished my bachelor's in sciences, general sciences, math, physics, and chemistry, with now also 11-month training in computers. And I decided that I'm going to try um, going to a master's program in Australia. Well, go figure, right? And Australia, why? Because they play cricket, right? And cricket is fun. And I watched cricket with my grandpa growing up. And I said, look, I'm going to go to Australia, and maybe I can watch real world cricket right in front of the main audience. But my story did not transpire that way. They wanted 4-year degree. I had a 3-year degree, and the 11-month vocational did not uh, become a 4th year. So they said, you got to go get your 4th year. So I said, okay, instead I'm going to try going to the United States. So I came here, went to University of Central Oklahoma, Edmond, and I completed my MBA. It took 3 years, not 2 years, because I had prerequisites. And after that, I applied for jobs, and one of the first jobs I got was with MCI Verizon, the phone company. And I was a systems engineer, a consultant, whose job was to help migrate what's called a big Indian to little Indian. This is a software translating the bits from one format to another format. And I learned all that on the job, and I did a lot of tinkering with software, computers, installing stuff. I don't know, it's a story of persistence, right? And the story of saying, hey, there's always a plan B, there's a plan C. If not, there's a plan Z.
Right, right. So let me ask you, how come it seems to me that every time that I speak to someone who comes from India, they tell me that what is expected from them is to be an either a doctor or an engineer. It's just like there is nothing else that a student, a young man or woman can do to earn a living. Why is that? Why is there such a focus on those particular careers?
No, they pay well, right? And there's manufacturing. I would say at that point in time, I'm talking about 90s, right? 80s and 90s. My dad was an engineer. Probably his my uncles and aunts at some point either were working for government, right, or they were working for manufacturing companies, and they would have more opportunities for frontline workers, right, from people who are on the assembly lines to as putting things together to all the way up to supervisor roles. So classic vocational trade, right? These kind of jobs were available in plenty. So they would say, hey, if you want to, at a minimum, if you want to make a living, you know where to start. Be an engineer, right?
Right.
And everybody, and you already know this, Elaine, which is we also fall sick. So if you're going to fall sick, there's always going to be an opportunity to go to a doctor. So engineers and doctors in a large population, which is in India, is always given. So there's always a way to make a living. The other one is federal government and government, right? So government, engineering, and medicine were always the first ones, right?
Right.
And also, if you're doing any of those three, it's easy to get married too.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, I have another question, and this one is been I've been wondering for years. The top CEOs in the United States, they happen to be many of them Indian. I mean, we see Microsoft, Google, Adobe System, PepsiCo, Mastercard, and now Twitter. Why is it that Indian leaders are so much in demand, and what is it that makes them such spectacular leaders?
I don't want to forget all the wonderful other leaders out there, right? And it's not just about India. There are a lot of women in technology, and there are others too that have made it to the top. It's not about India. I think it's just a coincidence that we tend to get projected in for large companies. You know, we're thinking about every name that you gave me is a large name, right? What about the small companies out there, right? These companies are driven by wonderful entrepreneurs from a lot of other countries, and first time, first generation immigrants and second generation. So I would like to call them out too and say, look, they're doing a wonderful job. It's I would say, we are living in a world of technology, and large most technology firms, especially if you're building product, those product have been built with leadership potentially from India, and in the world where technology is going to play a bigger role, it's kind of natural for this time period in our lives that there are a few more Indians at the helm of the company. But remember, and I think I've been in business school, and I've learned from other anecdotal information and read a lot of books that say there are going to be people with finance backgrounds who are going to make it to the top. Sales background, they're going to make it to the top. I think there will be a time there will be other immigrants too and other people that are going to make it. I think it's the nature of where we are, that product innovation. If you have been doing that for a while, you may see an Indian. Indians are not the only ones. But if the product gets to a level where it needs to scale and we need to reach larger audience, I think if you're thinking about sales roles, sales leaders who are becoming CEOs, we've had a wonderful leader named Steve Ballmer, right, at Microsoft. And he came from Procter & Gamble. He was in sales and he was at the helm for a very long time, right? And that was because we needed that leader. And a leader prior to that was Bill Gates, and he was all about a founder. He had a charisma. He had that, and he did that. So I think at different generations, you're going to have different leaders. Hopefully, the new leader of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, is going to be there for a very long time. But you see, every generation has introduced a new leader. And I'll leave it at that. I don't think it's about India. I think it's just the timing.
Okay, well, we will take that. Okay, so you work at Microsoft for a long time. Then you decided to create this academy, Divergence Academy, and now you wrote this book to share your wisdom of the things that you have learned. With the rest of us, we want to learn how to participate in this tech economy. So, what can you tell us about this book in particular? How is it? Structure, and what is it that a listener could learn from reading this book?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, Elaine, that a reader can walk away with is a staying static is a death sentence, right? Do not be static, right? Uh, and doing what you did in the last decade, right, in the last 10 years will not get you a job in the next near future, right? You gotta move on with times, and it's not hard, right? I think there is a inertia in the system. I would like to believe there's inertia that if you're an entry level, right, if you're just starting out in the industry, that there are no options, right? And I want to break that uh, uh, stigma, the dogma, and put the word out there that uh, I started entry level, you started entry level. There are a lot of people who started entry level. I think we got to redefine what entry level means, and start to create that hope. And there's a two-part puzzle. I say hope is also not a strategy, right?
Right, that's
So
chapter number one.
that's chapter number one, and it goes back to say, look, um, you if provided enough um, guidance and resources to an individual, you need a mentorship. You are able to help an individual go from non-traditional roles like military and a veteran, a person with no STEM degree or STEM background. So a lot of companies now saying, look, you don't need to have a science degree to be a coder, a hacker, a gamer, and things like that. So I think there's an opportunity to take some of those and educate employers and say all of these people are ready for uh, a new world of tech-driven economy, and they are more capable, if not maybe better, of doing certain jobs at the entry level than probably those with experience, right? New thinking, new diversity in thinking, they bring new things to the table. That's the whole idea. The idea is you can do internships, you can do apprenticeships, you can do externships. These are all the opportunities that exist in front for employer. And I'll say this, Elaine, um, we need to start thinking beyond coal and steel, right? Manufacturing jobs of future will require sophisticated understanding of digital technology. Even manufacturing needs sophisticated use of digital technologies. Robots are already in there. It's what management of those robots in a workforce. Right? We got to be thinking about not just, hey, these robots are going to eat my lunch, right? So how do you kind of convince a person that robot is not eating your lunch and we just created more jobs to manage robots? Okay, so that's the whole idea of the book, which is hackers and heroes.
Right.
And hackers are not just your cybersecurity hackers, I do tinkering, I do hacking, I do programming, and heroes are veterans too, and they're more than veterans. Okay? All of them combined together, everybody can take advantage of a tremendous opportunity that is in front of us as we are reshaping our economies into 21st century, right?
Okay. I would like to speak about a society issue. For example, chapter number one is hope is not a strategy. But I feel like one of the biggest problems that we have nowadays is that many people don't even have hope. They are fighting to get, I don't know, minimum wage from 15 to $18 an hour, and that's the whole focus. They it seems like they don't know that they could take a class in whatever academy, and and hack the system, and get over the fighting for the minimum wage, and start working on a job that will improve their lifestyle dramatically. But no, it seems like a lot of people want the incremental gain of a few cents an hour year after year. So hope is not a strategy, and many people don't even have hope.
It's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate that we have so many resources in this country, a tremendous number of resources, and we feel constrained with the situation you're in right now. And there is a path, I call it a pathway, and everybody follows somebody they know, right? Which is um, if you're in a community and there are one or two strong leaders with a strong voice, and they are able to uh, possession the opportunity in front, and some one or two people land in a company, you will see the other 15 people kind of follow them into the same company. It's natural. And I like that, going back to the world I come from, manufacturing, and one person becomes an engineer, other 15 people follow to become engineers. I think there is a sense of duty and sense of purpose. And I think Divergence is trying to do that, is try and get more people into the system, understand that IT is not hard, and that you are able to learn it with the focus on pathway, which is an entry level. Majority of students entry level, 70% of our students are entry level. The other 30% experienced. They need mentorship. The other ones need to get an idea of how do you convert that situation you're in, help, that take seek help. It's okay to take help, right? And when I say help from ask a person or seek a person with resources, say, how do I get to the next level? $18.50. I'll tell you, and I think it's my book, my first job, and this was many moons ago, 1993, 94, was $36,000, and that was 18 bucks, right? Today's 18 bucks. But we're saying for majority of the jobs, today's job, $21, $22 an hour, maybe $4 more. But remember, in IT, things move really fast. You're not stuck at 20 bucks an hour, right? And demand for IT is so high that in 6 months from now, you may be making $30 an hour, right? And if you're good and you're committed, you're motivated, you're capable, you're going to get more. The problem is not getting to uh, the place of work. Sometimes the issues turn into, hey, I don't have transportation. I still have to take care of my baby at home, childcare. I'm doing two jobs. I may not be able to come to school. How do you provide a good schedule so that I can manage my time at home, take care of my baby, have transportation and food while I'm going to school? So there are a lot of other things, Elaine, that kind of come in the way. And I don't think it's about hope is not a strategy. I think the hope is got to be beyond the schooling system, right? Beyond the education. There are other components that are affecting. And I hope I can play a role in helping all these individuals along the way.
I just got an email just right before I got into this call with you. I got a message from a friend of mine who just finished I think, 10 or 8 months technology program that he was studying, and he just finished that program. And his message was that he has many job offers, and for the first time ever in his life, employers are asking him what does he want as a starting salary. So he's just over the moon with excitement. And this is a person who didn't know much about technology last year as we were having a conversation. So I can see how getting into the technology bandwagon can catapult your life standards immensely. And it's just my friend and I, we have been telling other people this is the thing that we had to look at as a way to improve our life. and we feel like we're speaking to deaf ears. But anyways, that's why I'm having this conversation with you,
Well,
just to
thank you.
continue drumming that, hitting that drum and telling people that there's a world of opportunities. And like you said, the coal and mining and all those industries are of the past, and this is the time to move on and start. I mean, the kind of jobs that are available today, they didn't exist 10 years ago. And it's just thanks to technology and innovation and people's curiosity that we have all this array of new uh, professions that people have nowadays.
Right. You know, well, I got onto the, before I got onto this call, I also made a couple of notes, right? And I said, what are the jobs of the future? And I wrote down uh, cloud service managers, IT service brokers, and it was extinct species revivalists. So think about those that are extinct. Is there a way that through DNA sequencing and others, we can bring them back to life, right? Companion for the aged, right? People who are old, they need help. And I think we have a lot of systems there today to help us become a companion for the aged. Data detection, right? You know, in the past, electricity was an emerging tech. Now there are a lot of things we can do with data and everybody. And Microsoft recently did Azure Space and Azure, I think part of the, so their new product line. And you can actually connect the satellite and bring information down to do something. But how is it useful for a person who does not know a whole lot of IT, right?
Right.
And I think it's to now give them a sense of possibilities, right? Hey, what is, how do you get your hands dirty with small things? We call them citizen data scientists and citizen. How can you just be part of Divergence or any school, or a lot of good schools, and Divergence is one of those. And what we are trying to do, Elaine, is through career services. We have a wonderful career services team, and they spend time with uh, folks, our students, helping them understand how do you negotiate a salary, and how do you kind of present yourself on Zoom, like this Zoom meeting, be confidently present yourself, and also be able to spend a little more time and not signing up for the very first offer that you get from an employer, right? Today you have it's a job seeker environment, right? There's so many jobs,
Right.
everybody waiting at home and not going to work because of COVID-19, right? And people are fatigued too. They're tired, you know. And during the pandemic, they worked very hard. People burned a lot of midnight oil working hard. So how do you help them see that there is an opportunity? Don't take the first offer you get, negotiate, and then use that as a way to get maybe 15-20% more.
Right.
It's possible. Trust me,
Right. Yeah.
employers want it, right?
Yeah.
And then the next jump that they're going to get 6 months from now, it's going to be 10 or 15% more than what you got. So in less than 6 months, you're probably at 50% more than what you asked for. Is it possible? Absolutely.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay, so let's take a hypothetical scenario. Let's say that before COVID, I used to be a waiter, and I was, happily waiting tables and getting good revenue and tips. But now, because all these restrictions, my job as a waiter is gone, and I'm looking for new opportunities. And let's say I stumble upon the Divergence Academy. What would be the next step for me to do?
Next thing is to talk to my admissions team and present your case. Yeah, are there other people like themselves that have made a transition? Right? You'll be surprised. We had a student that operated a crane, right, on
Right.
the 21st floor, 22nd floor, and he learned how to take his computer and put it right there while he was operating a crane. And he would say, look, was he looking at his computer while operating a crane? No, no, no. But during the break time, he didn't want to come down. He was right up there. And he would say, what was he doing? Right? Not only was he learning how to, replaying the videos and learning, he somehow got into the stock markets and stock trading. Right? And he kind of correlated both. And he said, look, can you teach me how to read charts on a stock so that I can be uh, better at investing or kind of putting what dollar here, a dollar there, and making some money? It's curiosity, right? The curiosity drove this person to ask those questions. And there are many more stories. There are stories of, we had a person who come to school 2 hours up, 2 hours down, and 4 hours, and spend 8 hours in a classroom plus 4 hours on the road and be here. And they all made a transition. So the person who is waiting, ask a question: what does it take? And uh, also ask around for what are the resources available for the person to spend as much time as possible. I call it tinkering with technology. You know, give them that opportunity to play around with technology, because you may not have access to those resources. We do. Ask for it. And if you do not know what to ask for, ask the admissions coordinator, hey, help me understand the storyline. Who else made a transition? That's the beginning.
Right.
Get to the phone call, get to the phone line, 1833 diverge. I'm not advertising here, but 1833 diverge, and hello@divergence.one. Send an email or text, call, and then you'll be surprised how much help you're going to get.
And what could a person expect to learn through Divergence Academy?
Well, 4 programs we have. The 2 big signature programs we have are cybersecurity professional penetration tester. The second one is called data science immersive. Those are 2 signature programs. 75% of our students go to cyber programs because of today, right? Everybody wants to be a hacker. Everybody wants to be an ethical hacker, right? And I think that there's nothing wrong in it. I think just use that as a starting point, right? I think by staying in there, bringing your uh, gaming skills and detective skills, and hey, I want to crack something, I want to break something, and using those skills to actually learn IT, right?
Right.
And then data science is all about analytics and things like that. We added a 3rd and a 4th program too, called cloud engineering. Everybody says everything is moving into the cloud, right? We talked about Google and Microsoft and Amazon. Well, we teach that. And the last one is for people with leadership background and management background. We call it security operations management. The idea is, if you are an officer level in a military and you have time and the benefits to use, come and learn to become security operations leader. We'll teach you how to manage risk and govern and drive compliance. And we'll teach you that, because every 10 people we get into cyber, we need one person who's going to lead them.
Right.
So
Right.
we created that program too.
So, well, as you can see, I'm a strong believer that the future is in science and technology. I have one question in regards to your book. Chapter 4 is Curation is Better Than Creation. Can you elaborate or explain that chapter for the listeners?
Oh, sure. Technology changes very fast. So technology changes so fast that as a school, we have a hard time creating new content. But it's like taking a car out of a drive parking lot, and it's already used car, right? So as soon as we put a new content in, it's a dated content. Right?
Right.
So how do you support the new content that is being constantly being created out there, right? So let the people who create content, let them create content. We gotta curate it and say, how is this whole going to be useful for a student of Divergence? What are the things we are going to say? What are the most important ones they need to learn? What are the things that can be postponed, right? They can learn all that, but we don't have enough time in our program of 400 hours to teach everything. So what can we teach them is understand that there is one thing is constant, that is change,
Right.
and technology changes fast. So learn how to use systems like Google search, how to learn your vocabulary, do a better search, land on resources that are being curated first by Divergence, and find additional resources that complement whatever Divergence gives you. So that's why I say curation is more important than creation, because we need to be taking advantage of all the resources that have already been created by other people.
Right. Well, I had to tell you, as you and I are having this conversation, I think we are speaking to the choir. And I think somehow through your book, you are trying to expand this knowledge out there to people who are not aware of all the opportunities available to them. So, I mean, as much as I can, I will recommend your book. I wonder if you could just one more time tell us the title of the book and where can the listeners follow the work that you do.
Yeah, SravanAnkaraju.com. That's my website, my first name, last name.com. Hackersandheroes.com is also another location where they can find more information. And for those that follow Divergence Academy, I tend to hang out on LinkedIn, and they're welcome to ask me questions, and I'll answer those. But and of course, my book is available both as a physical book and a digital book on Kindle, on Amazon. And Hackers and Heroes, how everybody can participate in tech economy. At the end of the day, it's about giving an idea to an individual that whatever the situation may be, whether they're in transition or not, career transition or not, life situation, whatever that may be, that IT has more opportunities. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you so much.